Fights, Mics, and Media. I'm Goldie Boyd. Born August 20th, 1965. Brooklyn, New York. The move to Harlem. And then to the Bronx. The South Bronx, that is. It's no other than Lawrence Chris Parker, a.k.a. The Teacher, or the Blast Master. KRS-One. Listen, man, I got like a hate-love relationship with KRS-One, man. You gotta remember, man, I had moved, as a young boy from Queens to Long Island. So, and I would be ping pong back and forth, and KRS-One did us dirty back in the days. MC Shan was like one of my favorite dudes, man. And he just did Queens dirty. I didn't hear a peep from a place called Queens. Oh man, I could never forget that shit, man. But anyway, he's a legend, man, certified legend. KRS-One started his career back in the days with his partner Scott LaRock, and him and Scott LaRock formed BDP, Boogie Down Productions, around the year, I believe, 86. And it was actually Scott LaRock and D Nice. D Nice was the baby boy of the group. And as a matter of fact, it was D Nice who Scott LaRock was actually trying to break up from getting into some shit in the streets. And that's actually how Scott LaRock died. He had got shot trying to break up some shit with D Nice in the streets in 87. And I never forget it because it was on my birthday, August 27th of 87, man. And that was like the biggest thing after Marvin Gaye had died a few years earlier, man. So I could never forget that shit, man. But yeah, BDP started out in 86. And their first single was actually in 86. At the same time, Check Out My Melody had dropped by Rakim. You also heard the other guy who was just as ill as Rakim. And that was no other than KRS-One of BDP, man. And that's when they dropped the South Bronx. And oh my God. Shit. Why did they go and do that, man? Like, when I tell you, man, the South Bronx was so ill, man. Like, he was dissing us dudes in Queens, and you still had niggas in Queens singing the South Bronx, the South Bronx, the South. And if that wasn't good enough, when he came out with the South Bronx, then they followed it up with The Bridge Is Over. And when I tell you it was over, it was over. It was like he stuck a fork in niggas. How do you come back from that? And I mean, the sound and like how he was killing this shit was just crazy. The bridge is over. The bridge is over. But he was the first nigga on that, like that Jamaican type style of rap. Nobody ever had done that or heard that before KRS-One, BDP, man. Like, that shit was so refreshing to like hear something. Nobody never heard no shit like that, man. And you gotta remember, in Queens at the time, there was a lot of wars back and forth with like the Supreme Team and all of the Jamaican niggas that was coming from Jamaica. Like, there was a lot of wars back and forth with the Dreads. So, and in the Bronx, there was a lot of Dreads too. So, we knew what reggae was, and dance hall was type new back then, and we knew what it was. So it was like ill to hear like a rapper who had a new style and was able to flip it in that way. That shit was just super refreshing, and it was dope. The bridge is over. The bridge is over. But bye bye. The bridge is over. What? And then he came in with like and just started killing it. He said me coming out of y'all with the spliff SNC, down with the posse called BTP. You wanna? He's what he was. He you wanna join the crew? Will you? He said what he said. You wanna join the crew? Well, you must see me. You can't be like the one that they call Marley. Cause rhyming, cause Shannon Marley Moore did my rhyming like the game. He started killing that shit, man. Like nobody never heard nothing like that, bro. Like. And it was just over after that. He killed Shan's whole career, real shit. You know, they was even touring together and shit like that afterwards. It was never no serious beef. I guess at one point in time it was, but after a while that shit wasn't really. They was touring together and all kind of shit. But at the time, man, when I tell you that shit was devastating to Shan's career, oh my God. And Marley Marl, like, that was a death blow. But anyway, man, I can't say enough about them songs, man. South Bronx and The Bridge is Over, man. Them songs are fucking. Those are like two of the illest songs ever made in hip hop, bar none. Like, and they were diss tracks, and them shits was highly popular diss tracks. Like, yo, who does that? Like, that shit was like, who was even thinking like that? Like, them niggas was ill with that shit. Like, yo, man. The only niggas that was rhyming like that was like Rakim and LL, like with that kind of fluency kind of style. Like nobody was rhyming like that, man. Like that nigga was killing. If you listen to how he was rhyming back then and listen to niggas now, it's like, damn, this shit sound like it just, like only niggas like Ra, LL, and KRS-One, you know, BDP sound like they shit sound timeless. It sound like it just came out. Like if you throw on the South Bronx or the Bridges, that shit sound like it just came out, bro. Like it sounds still new. Like it's timeless, bro. And then they came out with Superho, but you know, yeah, it got burned, but that wasn't the shit niggas was saying in the street. The shit that niggas was saying in the street was 9mm. Da 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 day, da 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 day. Hey, listen to my 9mm go bling boo doo doo. That was that shit, nigga. So that damn Criminal Minded album, oh my God, when that shit dropped in 87, bro, just forget about it, man. That was one of the illest albums, like, that ever dropped, man. Like, I don't know, man. Like, a lot of people give it to Paid in Full, which I do too. Of course, I'm biased, but man, if people say Criminal Minded was just as ill as Paid in Full, it's kind of hard to argue with them, man, because that shit was fire. And then they followed that up by All Means Necessary with KRS-One. With the Mac on the cover, looking like Malcolm X. What, nigga? Like, yo, I don't. Yo, listen, man. When I tell y'all, man, like, I wish I could bring y'all back in time with me so y'all could understand it. I couldn't even fully understand the impact because I was a baby boy. Like, I was a little kid, man. So I honestly wish I was just 10 years older. so I could see what the impact was like, man. But you know, I'm like 10 years younger, like 11 years younger than KRS-One and them dudes, man, and Rakim and all of them. That's my sister, rest in peace. That's her age group, man. But yeah, man. It was just dope, man. They had off that album that by all means necessary album, Stop the Violence and My Philosophy. Stop the Violence wasn't really the joint that people was listening to. It was really I'm still number one. That was that shit. And then Jimmy, the J, the I, the M, the Y. You know, it was the Jimmy. That was that shit. Those were the songs people was really into, and My Philosophy was definitely one of them. But how many MCs must get dissed before somebody tell them don't with Chris? That was that shit, boy. And yeah, man, '88 was a hell of a year, man. You had a slew of MCs that came out around that time, man. Big Daddy Kane, EPMD, De La Soul. I mean, it was just crazy. So many different styles. Queen Latifah, MC Light. I mean, I could just keep going. And then just when we thought it was done, man, like the West Coast started putting out dope ass albums and dope ass music too, man. That's when MC, NWA had dropped around that time too, man. So it was just crazy, man. Heavy D was still reigning around that time. Um, Coogee Rap and the Juice Crew had just, start putting out crazy ass records like Symphony. So it was just a great time of hip hop, man. That golden era, man. That I must just say from '86 to about 89, man. That 3 year gap was something crazy, man. Um, Even from the West Coast, man, like I said, you had NWA, then you had dudes like Rodney O and Joe Cooley. Like, yo, man, like hip hop was something special back then, man. The X Clan came out around like '89. So that whole, golden era, man, was just crazy, man. But anyway, man, uh they had put out BDP had put out Ghetto Music, the blueprint of hip hop, and in '89, like right after, and it wasn't that long after they put out By All Means Necessary, man. I guess it was like they was going neck and neck with Rakim, because Rakim put out Follow the Leader in '88, and they both had Follow the Leader and By All Means Necessary at the same time, and then Ghetto Music, the blueprint of hip hop, came out, and it was like, it was crazy, man. That whole, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling Kid and Play came out around '88. It was just dope that era, man. But yeah, man. They had off that Ghetto Music, the blueprint of hip hop album. They had Jack of Spades, which was on the I'm Gonna Get You Sucker soundtrack. And then they had Why Is That? And then You Must Learn. And then he started breaking down all the prophets and shit, man. Listen, that shit was crazy, man. But yeah, man. BDP was non-stop, man. They put out Edutainment after that, which had one of my favorite songs of BDP, Love's Gonna Get You. I mean, come on, man. And then Sex and Violence right after that. And then that was Edutainment with Love Gonna Get You is 1990, and then Sex and Violence is 1992. And then in 1993 is when he actually just went as KRS-One and stopped, I guess, using the name BDP, Boogie Down Productions. And then he came out with that joint, man, and he put that song out of here. That shit was crazy. And then Sound of the Police. Like, this dude, man, when I tell you his catalog is crazy, it's unreal, man. And then 1995, he put out KRS-One, the self-titled album KRS-One. And then on that joint, he had MC Zach He Don't Know. That shit was crazy. Doom, 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 boom, boom. That was that shit. Oh, man. And then he followed that up quickly in 1997 with I Got Next. And that's when he did that joint with Puff Daddy. He did the first joint, and then they did the remix, Step Into the World. Rapture's Delight. That shit was fire. And his whole career kind of like got resurrected. And he had came back strong. And then after that, he kind of like went on a decline a little bit, man. And then he came out and 2001 with the Sneak Attack, and then he put out a kind of like a gospel album in 2002, Spiritual Minded. Then he put out 2003's Chris Styles. If you know him, you know he was going at like all the the rappers with the gold chains and drink Cristal and all that shit. So you would have to understand. But then 2004, Keep Right, 2006, Life, 2008 he put out Adventures in MCing, and then 2008 again he put out Maximum Strength, and then 2012 the BDP album. But he didn't stop. He put out other albums after that, man. I'll let y'all go ahead and do the research on those joints. But some of his collaborative albums, as Hip Hop Lives with Marley Marl, surprisingly in 2007. Then another one with he did with Buckshot Shorty of Black Moon, Survival Skills in 2009. Then he put out Meta Historical with True Masters in 2010, and then he did Godsville with Showbiz of Showbiz and AG in 2011. And then he put something out that was, everybody was waiting for, with him and Freddie Fox, aka my big bro, Bumpy Knuckles, in 2011. That album was called Royalty Checks. Royalty Check, man. And that shit was dope too, man. So he never stopped doing music, man. And he never stopped like contributing to the culture, man. Also, before I forget, he produced a lot of people's albums and records that people might not even be aware of, man. Back in 1987, he produced Just Ice's whole album, Cool and Deadly, and he also co-produced the Desolate one in 1989, and then right after that, or around the same time, he produced Self Destruction, which featured, of course, himself, his crew BDP, which was D Nice and Miss Melody, and a bunch of other prominent MCs, man, like Stetson Sonic, Kumo D, MC Light, Dougie Fresh, Just Ice, Heavy D, and Public Enemy, man. And that was a dope joint back in '89, man. And that actually influenced the song "We're All in the Same Gang" by the West Coast artists such as King T, Body and Soul, Def Jeff, Michelle A, Tone Loc, Above the Law, Ice-T, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, JJ Fad, Young MC, Digital Underground, MC Hammer, and Easy E. Yeah, man, that song was heavily influenced by KRS-One's Self Destruction, man. And if that wasn't good enough for you, he also produced Mad Lions, Shoot to Kill in 1993, and Take It Easy in 1994, along with Channel Live's Station Identification in 1995, man. So he's a busy dude. And also in 1991, he opened up the Temple of Hip Hop. So this dude is just like a cornerstone and a staple to this thing we call hip hop. And I think he deserves all of the flowers that he could ever get while he could still smell them. And a huge, warm, happy birthday to the one and only Blast Master KRS-One.